On September 12, 1988, Hurricane Gilbert barreled into Jamaica, leaving death, destruction, and millions of dollars worth of damage in its wake. Though we've been spared the brunt of what was then a Category 5 hurricane, we have been hit by storms since then. So as we observe the anniversary of Hurricane Gilbert, we urge you to keep abreast of hurricane watches and warnings. Check around your homes and effect repairs where necessary. If you live in flood-prone areas, identify your nearest shelter. And most importantly, watch Jamaica Magazine for up-to-date news and features to get you ready for any eventuality. We continue our program with a word of advice, followed by the news. Stay with us.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, September 12, 2022. Jamaica has this year recorded the best stopover visitor arrivals figure and foreign exchange earnings for any summer period in the country's history. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett made the announcement on Saturday as he addressed the welcome ceremony for the 18th Annual USA Travel Advisor Golf Tournament at Sandals Ocherius Beach Resort in St. Anne. He says the country has seen 5,000 more visitors than in the summer of 2019, which was a record year, while earnings are up 20% over 2019.
And not only it is that the numbers came, but the earnings from tourism also grew. And so I have the good news to tell you that this summer is the best summer that tourism has experienced in the history of Jamaica.
At the beginning of 2022, tourism was projected to earn $3.5 billion and welcome approximately 2.3 million stopover visitors for the year, which would make it the Caribbean's fastest growing tourist destination. But Minister Bartlett says the country is now up to 2.6 million projections for stopover visitors, not including cruise passengers, and the projection for earnings is a whopping $4.2 billion.
Now, we were projecting that before COVID to happen 5 years down the road, and that 5 years would expire 2025. So you see what recovery has done and how strong that recovery is.
Meanwhile, Negril is now the latest tourism town center to receive a boost to its aesthetic appeal with the addition of a new welcome sign. The sign, which was unveiled by the Tourism Ministry last Friday, comes with solar lighting and was done at a cost of $12 million. The project includes a lay-by and walkway, a retaining wall, landscaping, and the fabrication of letters in red, green, and gold. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says this will help to enhance visitors' experience as Jamaica seeks to recover from the effects of the pandemic and further grow the sector.
The decision to do this is not born out of just an expenditure of $12 million that they have put on it. It is born out of a desire to build a sense of pride and community ownership. This sign belongs to you, it belongs to Negril.
He says it's part of a program to boost tourism within rural communities and add aesthetic appeal to destination areas, using more signs to create the Jamaican photo experiences. Executive Director of the Tourism Product Development Company Limited, Wade Mars, says the existence of these sites will also provide the home destination with user-generated content for marketing, which will attract audiences.
TPDCO, of course, is stepping up its coverage of this resort area. This is just a continuation of a drive that we're going to be doing right across the island in different resort spaces.
More than 25,000 classroom spaces are now available for secondary students under the Ministry of Education and Youth's Sixth Form Pathway program. This is being provided through partnership with the tertiary sector and allows for students with less than 4 CSEC subjects to be a part of the learning program. Acting Chief Education Officer Dr. Kassan Troop gave the update during the Office of the Prime Minister's face-to-face education town hall meeting held in St. Andrew last Friday.
We will have students who will not get the 5 or more CXE to matriculate for the traditional sixth form. Not all our high schools, and I know my minister will speak to it later, will be able to retain all our students. And we have been saying that from the beginning. This is why we partnered with the tertiary sector.
Dr. Troop says parents and caregivers should visit their children's school and speak with the sixth form coordinator or contact their regional office to get assistance. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is expressing gratitude to educators whom he says have provided great value to national development. Mr. Holness issued the commendation on Thursday during the annual Prime Minister's Medal of Appreciation for Service to Education held at Jamaica House.
I'm fully aware of the level of sacrifice, commitment, and great sense of responsibility you bring to bear on your duties on a daily basis. I therefore take this opportunity to salute all our teachers for giving of your best as classroom teachers, administrators, counselors, and trainers. To the honorees here with us this evening, I say Jamaica cannot honor you enough, but please know that we are grateful.
A total of 80 awards were issued to cover the 2021 and 2022 cohort following last year's postponement of the award ceremony due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Each year, awardees are selected by a committee based on predetermined criteria.
I am delighted to join in extending congratulations to a group of persons who have made significant contribution to the social and economic advancement of Jamaica.
Jamaica is on track to receive a limited supply of possibly 3,500 doses of monkeypox vaccines by the end of this month. The acquisition is being facilitated through collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, which has advised that no additional doses are anticipated for Jamaica before 2023.
We are advised that the manufacturers of the smallpox vaccine that has been shown to be effective for protecting persons from monkeypox have supplied limited amounts to the market, and as such, only approximately 3,500 doses of the vaccine have been promised to us.
The health minister says that in order to maximize the use of the limited supply and achieve the objectives of containment, Cabinet has given approval for administering the vaccine initially as a post-exposure prophylaxis to persons at highest risk.
The vaccine, once in country, will be administered to only persons who come into close contact with a diagnosed patient, with someone who contracted monkeypox. So persons, based on the contact tracing, who would have been exposed to an individual with the virus. These persons would include, Madam Speaker, healthcare workers involved in direct care of monkeypox patients with inappropriate personal protective equipment, and household contacts of confirmed cases to include sexual partners.
Dr. Tufton says this prioritization method will be refined once the country receives more doses. And finally, condolence books are now open to well-wishers mourning the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The books were opened on the weekend and have been signed by mourners, including former Governor General Sir Kenneth Hall, former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, and Prime Minister Andrew Holness. They will remain opened until September 19. Persons wishing to sign may do so at King's House or the offices of custodies across the island. The opening of condolence books forms part of activities to mark 12 days of mourning for Queen Elizabeth II, who died on September 8 at age 96. Flags are also being flown at half-mast, and a national day of mourning will take place on September 18. Queen Elizabeth, who was the longest-serving monarch in the history of the United Kingdom, reigned for 70 years and will be laid to rest on September 19. Her son, King Charles III, has since ascended the throne. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The tinting of your windscreen, cut it out. Public passenger vehicles, according to the Transport Authority Act, not supposed to have tints. I'm appealing to motorists out there. We have removed many plates because of fandangles that are on the motor vehicle. Colorful lights, red light, purple light, blue light, and these multicolored lights. Get them off. I've noticed some trends out there where there is different type of license plates on motor vehicles. Only the Jamaican issued driver's license plates are to be on the motor vehicles. Once you transport any passenger in a motor vehicle, ensure that they are buckled, whether they are on the front or they are on the back.
The seatbelt gives people a fighting chance to survive the crash. Many people have died who never give themselves a fighting chance.
We are in the midst of the hurricane season, and the government is ensuring that all Jamaicans are prepared to weather any storm that may arise. This is partly being done through the proper management of emergency shelters. Take a look.
It doesn't always have to be a hurricane. A disaster can strike at any time, natural or man-made, and you may not be thinking about a shelter. But shelters are a critical part of the government's disaster plan to ensure the safety of citizens in the event of a natural or man-made catastrophe. Let's rewind a little. Do you know the nearest shelter in your community?
We use schools as shelters, community centers, churches. All of these are utilized for the purpose of assisting persons that would need accommodation in times of emergencies. And so that is the role of the shelter. In terms of the number of shelters that we have, it could be in the region over 900, about 900 shelters that we have across Jamaica.
We always grab our phones when we're in trouble. And this time we are searching for the nearest emergency shelter on the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM website. Select the Shelters tab, choose your parish, then download the listing to see all available shelters in or near your community. You can also browse the interactive map and click on the red dots to identify the shelters. ODPEM also updates its website with the new shelter listings once the annual inspections are completed.
The reason for this is because sometimes some schools can be removed from the listing, and so we would need to, of course, have that information properly and well communicated for persons to be able to know what to do when it is time to go to a shelter. Disaster shelters are activated in two ways. They're done nationally and they're done at the parish level, parish or community specific, for parish or community specific impacts. Now, large-scale hurricanes, for example, when we have lead time. So sometimes when we're tracking these storms and, we have lead time 2 or 3 days, then the shelter managers are activated, right, alerted through the parish mechanism. And so they are on standby to open the shelters. So informing the public, that is done through the formal mechanism of press releases that are sent to media houses to let, of course, persons know that shelters are activated, and persons should, of course, go to their nearest shelter. The ODPEM also passes information about shelter activation through our various other social media handles, the Facebook and Twitter and all of the others. And of course, where communities are generally impacted all the time, these persons know their shelters, they know their shelter managers, and so, the information is kind of fluid.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosemary Livingston.
Good afternoon, Ms. Livingston. I'm Chevelle.
I'm here to tell you, Chevelle, the things you should take to the shelter and what you should not take. Okay? You can carry stuff like tin sardine, tin mackerel. You can have a little lemonade drinks, oats, and your biscuit, and your lasco, and your wipes, your clothes. Make sure you come with your sanitary napkin.
Do I have to put the clothes in a plastic bag?
Yes, in case of there is rain, you have them in the plastic bags. You come with your medication. And if you have children, you carry the medication. So you plastic them. What you should not take to the shelter: no knife, no cigarettes, no pets, and no bad behavior.
Okay, that is it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
The COVID-19 pandemic shifted emergency shelter operations with an added focus on keeping persons safe from transmissible diseases. Shelter managers are trained to observe COVID-19 protocols, and this includes having an isolation area. The safety of every emergency shelter is paramount, and this means that shelter rules must be followed.
This government, since 2016, have made arrangements that once the shelters are occupied, we will provide food supplies for persons within the shelters. So the rules that are laid out are clear. It is written all over the board. You see it. Shelter rules.
Emergency shelters are also being retrofitted to provide better mobility for disabled persons. Shelter managers across all parishes are trained each year and provided with refresher trainings in an ongoing program. According to the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, disaster preparedness isn't just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do.
Given our realities, some communities are vulnerable, and so the shelters would definitely not be in such a vulnerable location. And so where those cases exist, there is an arrangement at the municipal corporation level where the vulnerable population is actually transported to these shelters.
Let us resolve our family disputes peacefully. A family is a circle of love, support, and strength. Violence has no place.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Hi.
How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? How's the day so far?
Going very well. Going as planned.
It's going as planned.
Going as planned.
And oftentimes when we plan our days, it doesn't go like that. And we often have to put things in place like rituals. Yes. So starting off the day, we have morning rituals. I have one. What are your morning rituals?
Well, my morning rituals, starting from home, I presume. Yes, I get up early, 4 o'clock, sometimes 4:35. Go through my usual devotions. That's a way of life for me. And make my breakfast. I do make my own breakfast, and I actually cook breakfast. I prepare my breakfast, take to work with me, and leave home to get to the office on time for my usual very hectic schedule.
Tell us exactly, what do you do?
Oh, it's hard to define the work of a permanent secretary, but the permanent secretary really is the person who oversees everything in a ministry.
What was the most difficult decision that you had to make recently?
When I was told that my then chief technical director, Wayne Robertson, was selected, I was going to lose him. He was selected and appointed as permanent secretary in the new ministry. It was difficult because I was asked to release him, and you know, when you're in government, when you're shifting staff, you have to get release from whether the permanent secretary or the supervisor. It was hard for me because I know it would have been a great loss in terms of the support that I would have been, I would be losing. By the way, we have been talking. Would you like some water, a cup of tea or so?
I'll take the water to go.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'll take it to go. What inspires you? What's the thing that inspires you most? Or where do you draw your inspiration from?
People may believe that working in government, it is boring. But for me, no. I am inspired by the fact that we have so many projects being undertaken in our ministry, both ministries. I feel at all times that I am making a difference. I am making a contribution. So when we have some of these large infrastructure projects, for instance, and you start with it from scratch, as they would say, from inception, from the concept, and you're involved in all the preparatory work and the implementation, and to see it come to fruition, you feel a sense of satisfaction.
At the end of the day, when the sun has set on your time in the public sector and you're walking away and you can become a fly on the wall and persons are talking about you, you're talking about your legacy, what would that sound like? What do you want that to sound like?
I would want it to sound like I came and I made a difference.
What's one thing your staff would say about you? What one short thing that you do on a regular basis or they can look forward to you doing as individual to you?
What is it now? Well, I know what they will say about me.
What did they say?
Is that I am miserable. I am a stickler for excellence and perfection. I'm a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. And I keep saying to them, I want what you're supposed to give. I want you to give your best as I tried to give my best. So, they would tell you that, P.S., yes, I operate an open door. Any staff can come into my office anytime with anything personal. But no matter how close you think you are with her, if you don't do the work, you're going to have a problem with her.
And then they can fly off the wall and leave.
Yeah. yes.
In your role as permanent secretary, you have traveled all over. You have seen many places. Tell me one place that stands out to you. It doesn't have to be the most significant, but somewhere that your travels in the role has taken you to.
Strange enough, it's down under.
Australia.
Australia and New Zealand.
Aside from the Bible, which other book would you recommend for reading?
The last book I read that has left an impression on me, it's Princess. It's a book that speaks to how women are viewed in their society and how they are treated. And there's some stories there. It was about a princess from a particular culture and what they went through as women.
I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much for allowing me to intrude on your day and for chatting with us. Keep doing the good work, and thank you once again.
And thanks for dropping in. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the water too.
Oh, you're most welcome. All right, have a good evening.
Have a good one yourself.
Thank you.
As a nurse, my heart bleed for see the accident victims. Worse when blood and oxygen short. Ease the burden on our hospitals, no man. Please me I beg you no. Drive safe on the road.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
And that's where we leave you on today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. We'll be back tomorrow for another program packaged with you in mind. Missed aspects of today's magazine? Visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for the full program. There's also additional information available on our site that's sure to keep you abreast of all the major happenings in Jamaica, land we love. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I am Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.